there's a topic where I'm very passionate about, and that is related to marriage, and it's about the differences between men and women. Yeah, that there's a lot of similarities, but there's also differences, and I find it very useful when we know the differences, because when we know the differences, we can understand the opposite gender better. And when we understand the opposite gender better, then our marriage will be better, and our relationship with the opposite gender in general will be better. So that's why I'm very passionate about this topic, and I would like to share a few things with you. And so the first part, what we will do today, is about what women need to know about men. Yeah, that's the first part, and then later on will also be what men need to know about women and other things. Yeah. Now, when we discuss this topic, I will make a lot of generalizations, right? It's very general what I'm going to share with you. So not everything is applicable to everyone, right? It's like some things you see in your spouse maybe, and other things, no, that's not the case, right? So it can be, it's not like that it has to be there. Yeah, it's very general, but I want to share these things because if you recognize it in your spouse, and then you can understand it actually. Yeah, that's so what I'm going to share about you. So not everything will apply to you or your situation, so keep that in mind. So the first point, what I would like to share is what women need to know about men is that it's very important for men that their wife treat them with respect. And what women think what respect is sometimes a bit different of what men think about it. And so I would like to share a little bit with you how men view respect. Yeah? Because you might think, yeah, I respect my husband, but he might disagree, or he might look to it differently. So now, in the Quran, Allah calls the men the Qawwam, right? The Qawwam, the provider of women, the caretaker of women, the protector of women. And that's a role that men actually are most happy to fulfill. That's in their fitra, that's in their nature, that's to fulfill that role. So we're supposed to let them fulfill that role and not take over everything. Yeah, like we are in charge. So how that in practical life, how that will show is, for example, about his knowledge and his judgment. If he decides something, that women not always should second guess it or like question it, and take his knowledge for like how it is and be appreciative of it. Yeah. And when we start second guessing and doubting about the decision he made, that's we kind of belittling him. Yeah, and that's for him, for a man, it's a show of disrespect. Yeah. So when we are more appreciative, that's in the man's side, it's like respectful. Yeah. And the second point is also that we should not become his mother. Like we are not his mother, we are his wife. Right, so we should be like not treat him like your child, like your child, like the belittling and second guessing and all those things. So trust his capability of doing things. Yeah. So when he wants to fix something in the house while he is not like a carpenter for profession, for example, let him try to fix it. Men, they love to fix things. I mean, to take things apart and then build it back together, and so let him do that, and not like commenting on it. Oh, you should do like this, or you should do it like that, or something like that. That's again, to a man is not shown. That's not showing respect. So we should not always like commenting and question. It's because that's a sign of that you don't trust him. You don't trust that what he's doing. Yeah, and so in that way we can also show respect. Another point is that our tone of voice, and our words. men often have the complaint that women are always nagging. Oh, you should do this, and then the next day, why you didn't do this again? And the next day, why didn't you do this again? Right? But a husband might have many things on his plate. Yeah, many things. Maybe he has a lot of things at work to do, and maybe a lot of things, other things to do, and to fix something in the house is not like the highest priority for him, right? So it's not that he doesn't want to do it; he just not find the time to do it yet, right? So we women, we have this tendency of nagging, yeah, and so we should try to avoid that, yeah. And then also the tone of voice is important, yeah. So when you can say it kindly, it's much better. Yeah, then instead of like, when you say like, why didn't you do this and this and this? That's already like, sounds like an accusation, right? So if you can say, oh yeah, I know you're busy, but maybe you forgot that this needs to be done, right? Something like that, this sounds much nicer, right? You agree? So that's very important, the tone of voice and the words you use. And then also related to that is in public. When you are in public, don't make fun of your husband. Yeah, in public, the men really don't like that. They have like, their ego is like fragile, you know, and it can be hurt a lot. And so in public, don't make fun of your husband. Yeah, that's not appreciative, and it's for him, it's a sign of disrespect as well. So what women need to understand, if you treat your husband with respect, with the things that I just mentioned, then he will love you, he will cherish you, he will provide for you, he comforts you. Yeah, and when you disrespect him, that the opposite will happen, right? So if you seek that first part, that you have a loving husband, then we should understand how respect towards him looks like for him. Yeah, and in the other part we will discuss also how that is for women. Yeah, so this is the first part. The second point is that a man was created to provide for the women. Yeah, that's his role, his duty. It's part of his fitra, like I mentioned, and it gives him a sense of accomplishment, that when he can provide for you and the children, and it gives him a good feeling. Yeah. Now, women, they often complain that the husband's always working, right? Maybe your husband is doing like 2 jobs or 3 jobs and a lot of side income, and try to always work. But actually, for a man, that's showing his love for you. He works so hard to provide for you, so hard to provide for the family, that he takes so many jobs on, yeah, and that is a part of him showing love, yeah. But a woman is usually seeing that hard work as though he's unloving, he's ignoring me, he's never home, and blah blah blah, right? But for a husband, it's the total opposite, right? So that's another thing that we need to understand, right? When a husband works so hard, that's actually, he's showing his love. That's why he works so hard, because he loves you and he wants to provide for the family. And so it's not a competition between you and his work. Yeah, it's you can of course mention that you would like to spend some more time with him, and if we can schedule that in somehow and things like that, right? But he's not ignoring you. He's actually showing his. And for a husband, it's very strange to hear from a wife, like, if they complain about him working so hard, never be home, and things like that. Yeah, because he has different intention with that. So that's another thing that's it might be a misunderstanding, yeah, among women. Then we go to the third part. That's about intimate relationship. Yeah, for a husband, it's something very important, and for a woman, of course, also, but for a husband, most of the time more important. And the number one complaint of men is that they find they didn't get enough intimacy with their wife. Yeah, and this is for a husband is actually a way to unlock their emotion. Yeah, they are not usually naturally not so romantic, but for them this intimacy is a way of becoming closer to their wife, yeah, and to unlock their emotion, to show their emotions, and it makes them feel masculine, yeah, it makes them feel like I'm a man, and when you are intimate with your spouse, then for a husband it's like whatever flaws a woman might have, because the fact they are intimate with one another, he overlooks the other flaws. Yeah, it's like, okay, he know that no one is perfect, so his wife is also not perfect, he's not perfect, and so, but when they are intimate, then because of that he can overlook other flaws that we might have. And for a husband, it's also not only biological, this intimacy, but it's also psychological for him. Yeah, so it's very, very important. So what women need to understand about this is that when we reject his advances, yeah, it makes him really, really feel disrespected. Yeah, it's a big issue. For you as a woman, it's not a big issue. Maybe you have a headache, or maybe not, but it's like it's not a big issue. But for a husband, it's really a big issue. Yeah, so we should not take that lightly. Yeah, so that's he will feel deeply rejected. Yeah, so that's another thing that we actually need to understand, and this will help. Yeah? This will help in your relationship with your husband. Another point, which might be a shocker for the woman, men, they find all women attractive. I will say it again. Men find all women attractive. It's just naturally, it's a part of their brain. Yeah, they are naturally attracted to women. Yeah, and men are very visual. Yeah, they look, and that's why Allah asked them to lower their gaze, right? But they have this urge to look. Even when he loves you, even when he loves his wife, yeah, he will still look. Yeah, and so what women need to understand is that he can love you, but he's just looking only. Yeah, and of course he should lower his gaze, right? That's what. But the first look is still okay, right? But the second look not. The second look is not. So what we women need to understand is that in front of your husband, make sure you're on your best. You know, you show your best side. You dress up when he comes home, for example, so that he will look at you instead of looking around, and let him, so that he can appreciate you more. Yeah, so make sure that you are you dress up. You know, you make yourself like smell nice, be clean, not like sweaty, and that you sound like you smell like what you just cooked in the kitchen, and so that he can appreciate you. Yeah, and that's very important in your marriage. And now, so another point, the men are like why they are not so romantic, that I already mentioned, is that mostly because they are scared of rejection. Yeah, when they are romantic, and maybe they want to take you out of dinner, and try to be a little bit romantic, and then maybe you reject them. Well, you take me to this restaurant, you know, or something, yeah, or ridicule them or mocked or things like that. So they're a bit hesitant to do that. So make sure that if your husband makes such an attempt, you know, makes such a intention, such an effort, that you appreciate it. Don't comment on the restaurant he takes you. Yeah, appreciate it. Because they're very insecure about their romantic attempts. Yeah, but he wants you to be happy, and he wants you to thank him. So when we are more appreciative, that will be helpful a lot. And then, because you are appreciative of this gesture, then he might do it again, right? He might try it again. But if you already like say, oh, why you take me to this restaurant and the food is not nice and blah, 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 then he might not try again anymore, right? So the key is communication. Yeah. So we women need to understand that we should be more sensitive, yeah, to interpret and to receive the romance. Yeah. Any gesture that your husband make, then it might not be in your definition of like romantic, but he's putting an effort. So we need to be more appreciative. Don't criticize the attempts that he's making. Yeah. Beauty. About beauty. Beauty is the attempt to be beautiful. Yeah. And actually, a husband doesn't really mind so much if a woman gain a little bit of weight, for example. But if what he appreciates a lot, if you care that you try to look beautiful, you try your best to look beautiful for your husband. That's what he cares about. That you are making this effort. That he appreciates that. Yeah, that you try to look nice for him. Yeah, care about his attention. Yeah, that's a very important thing. So, what we women need to understand is that instead of spending a lot of time on your appearance when you go out, yeah, spend that time to look best for the one who deserves it, your husband. Yeah. Not when you go out and you dress up and you put makeup and things like that. No, do that for your husband. And then he will appreciate that a lot. It's by the way, the things that I mention now is I'm focusing on husband and wife relationship, but it's actually this is true. All those points are true for all the men. For when I speak for the woman, for example, it's also for about your brother, about your father, about your son. You know, it's like for all the men. So this next point is about they call it cave time. Sometimes a husband or a man needs to have some time alone. Yeah, he cuts himself off from everything. Because maybe he's dealing with some problem. He has some problem on his mind. It can be from work. It can be not necessarily related to a marriage or something. It can be just from work. But he needs time to process that. Yeah, he needs time to think about it. And that time he would like to be alone. Yeah. So to find a solution. Yeah, to think about it and find a solution, and then he comes back to the family. Now, when a woman experiences that, she sometimes thinks like, oh, he doesn't want to talk to me, he's mad at me or something. No, he just wants to have some time alone to think about the things that he is dealing with. And then he come back to the family. So when you understand that, yeah, then you instead of like, oh, honey, tell me what's wrong, what's the problem, talk to me. No, at this moment he doesn't want to talk yet. Maybe later, but at this moment not. So we need to understand that. Yeah, he's not the man at that moment when he's dealing with something. He's not interested in some consolation or some sympathy at that moment. Maybe later. Yeah, so. For a woman, that's very different. A woman, when she has a problem, she likes to discuss and ask this one's opinion and that one's opinion, and right, she likes to talk about it. Very different, right? But a man is like wants to be alone, wants to be left alone, actually, and think about those things. So let him have his cave time, yeah. And then. If you need to talk while he is in this mood, yeah, then you can maybe say like, okay, I want to talk to you about something. Can we talk about it later, right? So you ask for a later time, but at this time, don't disturb him. Don't disturb him. Yeah. So so that's a few things that are different between men and women. And again, like I said before, it's very general. Yeah, not all men will have this. Not all women will be like this as well. It's not everything is applicable to your situation, but there are some gems in here, you know, like some things that women not always understand. Like for example, the last one with the cave time, you know, women they feel like that they are rejected or neglected. Yeah, they're neglected. That's a better word. That they are neglected. But actually, he just wants to be left alone for a while. Not like a whole month or something, no, just for a few hours, and then he can come back, right? So when we understand that will help a lot in a relationship, right? The woman doesn't feel rejected and neglected, and she thinks, oh, okay, he's in his cave time, it will go away, and we'll speak to him later, right? And it will solve so many issues. Yeah. So these are a few things only Yeah, that I will share later on. I share with you some talks you can watch on YouTube about this topic, the differences between men and women, and all those things are really, really helpful, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. I really would like you to study it a little bit, because when you understand the differences between men and women, it will help your relationship, and not only your relationship with your husband and between the husband and wife, but also relationship with opposite gender in general. Like I said, with your brother, your father, and your son. Yeah, and so and for the husband the same way. It will when he understands his wife better and how the differences work, then he also will have better relationship with his mother and his sister and his daughter. Yeah, so take some advantage of it. Think about it about your situation, and let me know in the comment if you recognize some of these things. Yeah, and or maybe you have a few other points to add about differences, so that others can learn from it as well. And so the next time I will talk about what men need to know about women. Yeah, the other way around. So this was it for today. I wish you a nice day, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.